Welcome to Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico. I'm your host, Steve Ricardo. Wait till you hear the interview that we have for you today. Talk about surprises. Eric Martin from the Neats was going to come down, and he brings Phil Caruso with him, another original member of the Neats, and Rick Harte from Ace of Hearts shows up too. And I was going to try and keep it secret here during the intro, but I'm so excited about that interview that I had to tell you right there. The Neats are like one of the most significant bands to emerge from the Boston scene in the 80s. And we talked about Propeller Records. We talked about their immediate success with Ace of Hearts, their bluesy rebirth with Coyote/Twin Tone Records. I mean, it was a fun interview, and I've been a fan of the band since I was in college radio, so I'm going to play that interview for you in a few minutes. But first, let's talk about the Linda Lindas and everything we know about them so far and why they've generated this enormous buzz. I mean, this is like a bigger buzz than I've seen happen with a rock band in a while. The band consists of Bella Salazar, 16 years old on guitar, Eloise Wong, 13 years old on bass, Lucia de la Garza, 14 on guitar, and Mia de la Garza, 10 years old on the drums. Now, it's true. They have had some connections that have helped them along the way. Carlos de la Garza, who's the father of Lucia and Mia, has worked with a bunch of bands, including Tegan and Sarah, Paramore, a band I really like, Charlie Bliss, and he's been mostly an engineer and a mixer. But he produced the Linda Linda's debut EP. It really doesn't hurt to have a sound pro in the family. Martin Wong, who is Ilios's father, was one of the main guys, still is, I think, a Giant Robot, which is a really popular bi-monthly Asian American pop culture magazine out in California. Like, they're all out in California. This band's a California band. Parents are from Cali. They're all out there. So this is what happened. The Linda Lindas played an unbelievable set in early May of this year at the LA Public Library. A punk rock show at a public library. I mean, I've been waiting for something like this to happen my whole life, okay? They happened to play this song called Racist, Sexist Boy, and the buzz just grew from there. Now, it's true that they were already on the radar of Kathleen Hanna and Bikini Kill and Karen O from the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, but what happens next? They get signed to Epitaph Records literally last week, a week ago from the day we're recording today, May 22nd. They get signed. Now the internet buzz on this band is enormous. Their video of them playing at the library has about over 600,000 views, probably more than that by now. But here's the thing. They are not an overnight success like everyone thinks. It took a few years. They formed in January 2018. They opened for Bikini Kill in April 2019. I don't know how they got on that show, but they did. But here's the thing. Amy Poehler, yes, that Amy Poehler was at the show. She saw the band, and she had them record songs for her film, Moxie. And then early May, a few weeks ago, they played the library show, and now they're on Epitaph. Well, I had to ask a few people about this and get their opinion on what the deal was. Baitbag, who was on the show not too long ago, Riot Girl band from off the coast of Maine, they sent me a quote because I asked them for one. And they said, collectively, the Linda Lindas are badass and inspirational. And knowing that their message will get such a wide platform gives us hope for the future. The kids, as they say, are all right. The Linda Lindas are really the shit. That's what they had to say. Ellie V, singer of the Charms. She wrote, songwriting equals power. Don't mess with people. The person you mess with could be a songwriter. And before you know it, you will be the riff-raff jerk face everyone's talking about. I had to get something funny, and my old friend Herb Morsiglio, who engineered many of my shows and does antisocial conditioning, said, quote, youth, angst, and unbound ferocity. If these stars shine any brighter, they'll outdo the sun. Herb actually said that. My friend Troy Gregory in Detroit played with the Dirt Bombs, Prong, Flotsam and Jetsam. He's going to be on the show soon. He told me that the song, when he heard it, he said it reminded him of DRI, and then I realized, you know what? It does remind me of DRI too. It's not like they're using new riffs or anything. It's not original. It's like riot girl punk rock. NPR said this just last week. The internet thrilled to the Linda Lindas, screaming and crunching power chords in the middle of stacks of the Los Angeles Public Library. Racist, sexist boy, written and performed by 4 tween and teen punks calling out anti-Asian American bias and misogyny, immediately became something of a 2021 anthem. Poser, blockhead, riffraff, jerkface. It's all pretty incredible, if you ask me. NPR also wrote, the Linda Lindas' current Bandcamp bio describes the band as half Asian, half Latina, 2 sisters, a cousin, and their close friend. The Linda Lindas channel the spirit of original punk, power pop, and new wave through today's ears, eyes, and minds, unquote. The Linda Lindas, my friends, are the musical trend of the week. Okay, you may have heard me talk about Notch Brewing. Well, they are up in Salem, Massachusetts, and they're brewing and serving European-influenced beer in their beer hall and beer garden on the Salem Harbor. And their exciting news is by the middle of June, Notch will be opening a second location at 525 Western Avenue in Brighton, Mass., which for you out-of-towners is only minutes from downtown Boston. The new Notch location will also have a beer hall, a large beer garden, and check this out, an outdoor live performance and music space. And word has it they're already putting their schedule together for July and August. How about that? With all the venues we've lost in the last 15 months, this is just what we need, a new venue and an outdoor one at that. Notch's beer is available through Mass and Rhode Island and also through mail order from Mass and PA. People love Notch beer. It's time to get yourself a Notch beer, or better yet, head over to Notch Brewing in beautiful Salem, Massachusetts. Okay, before we play the interview with Eric Martin, let's head all the way back to the very beginning of the Neats and listen to the song 6.
Live, nine lives.
Well, this is really exciting. It wasn't what I expected when I called Eric Martin up to come on the show, but we have two original members, the two surviving, two.
Yep, it's still another survivor out there somewhere.
Of the
Jerry's
Neats.
out. Yep.
We got Eric Martin and Phil Caruso, who lives in Pittsburgh. He took me. Eric called me and said, "Do you mind if I bring Phil along?" And I'm like, "Wow."
Phil was in town, so I said, "You can't miss this."
And check this out, Rick Harte's here too.
So icing on the cake.
Rick Harte from Ace of Hearts Records, who's a repeat offender on the show because he's been on the show. And I got to admit, I'm a little nervous. I usually don't get nervous, but having you guys in the room with me, because I've been
stardom is overwhelming, right?
Because I've been a fan for a long, long time. So I'm going to kind of do a little bio here, and then you guys can chime in if I miss anything. The band was started in the late 70s by Eric, Phil, Terry Hanley on drums, rest in peace, and Jerry Chanel, I call it.
Channel.
Chanel.
Number 5.
I knew I called it. I knew I had it wrong. On bass. Jerry left the band, and Jay Parham, did I say his name right, from the
Correct.
Flies, took over.
For a while.
And then David Lee, also rest in peace, unfortunately.
Right.
I actually hung out with David a few times. He's a good guy.
Very good guy.
He played on the 2 records that were on Coyote Twin Tone.
Absolutely.
Going all the way back, the song 6 is where... what we played right before this interview was released by Propeller Records in 1981, and incidentally also is on the DIY Mass Ave Boston Scene 75 to 83 compilation that Rhino put out, which is a great record if you want to hear about Boston rock history. It's all there. Now, your initial release on Propeller Product is what it was called. It was the Neats, People and Stairs, CCP TV, and the Wild Stairs.
Yep.
It was like a success in terms of indie labels at the time, distributed by Rounder. And I think you worked at Rounder, Eric.
I did. I think around that time, right? Yeah. I did work at Rounder. And actually, that's where I really met Rick a lot. Remember? Rick would come down and bring his... merchandise in, and I was head of receiving, so we always talk, and it was, and that's
so we
how
got 3 record company guys in the room now.
Right.
That's good.
Right.
We've corrupted the whole industry. Right. And that record sold 5,000 copies. By the way, I mean that's pretty amazing when you think about it. That time that an EP with 4 bands.
I guess so. I didn't even know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I read that somewhere on the internet. It could be false.
No,
we're going to say it's true.
Say it's true.
I first saw the band right after 6 came out at Wellesley College when I was the music director at WDJM in Framingham. And me and another guy went there, and we didn't really expect to walk in the room, and there were all girls there, so we didn't really complain. And it was because, Wellesley's famously an all-women's college. And... just going to zoom through this, and then we'll go back.
Yeah, no. This is,
following the release of 6, I think there were a couple songs on a Propeller cassette. Do the Things was one of the songs.
Right.
The band got the attention of Rick Harte, who's in the room, and he signed them, and then the Monkey's Head in the Corner EP came out. It had Red and Gray on it, which is one of the great songs by the band. You guys have a lot of great songs, but that one's one of the more famous. Robert Christgau of the Village Voice had his EP on the 1982 Paz and Jop, whatever that means, Critics Poll is one of the best EPs of the year. Right. Now, the Village Voice at that time, if you had press like that, that meant a lot. Huge. Yeah. And then you guys put out a full-length album in 83. It had Sad, Another Broken Dream, Caribou was on it, all produced by Rick. And then the band went in a more bluesy direction after maybe a little hiatus, and you did 2 records on Coyote Twin Tone. And I'm going to talk about that. And then in 2009, the Ace of Hearts years, the Consummate Neats record is what I call it, came out. So let's just go back all the way to Propeller for a second. What was Propeller? Because I can't figure out what kind of a label that was.
It was a collective.
It was a little socialist collective of bands.
Yeah, it was.
It was really, and I remember because that was. I think they had a thing on the record. Do not pay more than whatever for this record. Or I think it was a fixed price on it or something.
I remember that.
At any rate, it was. I don't think anyone involved in that project was over 22
That's about right.
I think
was there anyone running the label, or was
well,
it just...
I think that
Justin Burrell.
Justin
Burrell,
and of the Wild Stairs, great guy, super. And Rick did the Wild Stairs as well. Both Steve and Justin were really super nice guys. When we first started out, we became friends with them. And
mind-boggling Mensa characters.
Really super sweet guys too,
Just
But I think they kind of came up with the idea, and we all, and this was a bunch of bands that at that time was playing at that club, the Underground. There was a little scene there.
Right.
Again, no one was over 20 at that place, I think the drinking age was still, or just turned, but everyone was grandfathered in, so, and that was a little club up on, right on the corner of Brighton and Comm Ave, and it was, I think it was an old mob club that had been something. What was it, Sweet Virginia's before, or something like that? I don't know what it was, but it only lasted a year and a half. I think February of 1980 to June of 81. But we all lived there, we all lived and played
I have
there.
the Dangerous Birds single that came out.
And they were on Propeller too, right?
Yeah.
And they were there. It was a fantastic scene as kids.
That's one of my favorite band names ever.
Right, they were awesome. Too.
Dangerous Birds. Yeah, I'm a huge Talia Zedek fan. I got to get her on the show.
Actually, I'm playing with Talia in July at the Midway. So
really,
with Richie Parsons. That'll be a good show.
I'm going to let you plug all your appearances that you have coming up.
Well, they're starting to come out again, so which is good.
Yeah, that's really good news for everyone. So how'd you guys get on Rick's radar?
Well, I guess, Rick, was it through Six, or, what did you first, I don't know how you first heard of us.
Both the Liars
right.
and Neats came to my attention by their prior releases. I saw the band many times, the same with DMC and the Liars.
Right.
But those releases told me that this is for real, and I wanted a part of it.
Right.
And I remember going to the rehearsal and telling Terry, my God, you're great, but you got to hit the drums. You got to attack them. And we started out like that. Do you remember that?
I do, now that you mention it. I wonder where that first was.
It was up at, I think, Streets, maybe.
When we were playing a gig or at a rehearsal?
At a gig.
Okay, yeah. And, I do remember that. I do remember.
I went and I had pointers.
Yeah, which is good. That's what a producer's
You guys
for.
are pretty young in 1980.
Yeah, I think I did better, though, with not offending these guys than I did with Mission of Burma, because I threw their Mission of Burma's demo tape in the wastebasket.
Wow. I don't think you told me that when you were on the show the last time.
Well, it was like it only had one channel of audio on it, and I don't want to hear people's demos. I want to see them play.
Right.
And that was how every band got signed. But anyway, that's what happened. I heard Six, and I thought, that's something.
Right.
It's quirky. It's special.
And it had a good time. We did that at Perfect Crime Studio. What was that? Rob Dimmitt.
Rob Dimmitt, and
he's a good guy.
He's great.
Yeah, he was. And that was actually somewhat produced by Danny Salzman, who was in the Maps, and who was a fantastic guy, great bass player. Again, rest in peace. What an awesome dude, though.
It's too bad we always have to talk about all these guys that we're losing.
Dan was great. I love Dan.
On the Monkey's Head record, Red and Gray, as I mentioned before, was on that record. Did you have any idea when you guys were making that record that it was going to get the national attention that it got?
No, it was certainly exciting for us. I remember, we were living in Alston at the time. At that point, we really kind of were like the Monkees. We were all in the same house and practice in the basement and just like, but I remember when Rick brought us the acetate of the record, and I think it was a blizzard or snowy. I think you ended up staying on the couch because we couldn't get out of there. But it was just so exciting, to have the the first real record of we had, back then it meant something to have a record. I mean, it wasn't like they don't exist anymore. So when that first happened and you first hear something on the radio, that was pretty exciting.
Now you guys ended up doing a lot with REM, right?
We did. We became friends with them. We played our first gig in New York, or it was actually in Hoboken at Maxwell's. And I guess that was probably 19. What do you think, Phil?
81, maybe.
And,
Early 82.
82. The single. And we hadn't heard of them. and I think someone
they
was
had
telling
been reviewed with us in Village Voice.
Right. And
along with the Propeller.
Right. Their first single, their indie Radio Free Europe was out. And so we played this kind of infamous, famous gig at Maxwell together. It was their first time in the city, too. And we hit it off really well. It was a great night. I mean,
you guys toured together, right?
Yeah. Then after that, we would hook up with them a bunch of times and did a big tour with them later, like '85 or something.
Was it like
that.
a full national tour?
It was pretty
Midwest.
Yeah, Midwest, South.
It went as far as Iowa.
Yeah.
But it was about. It was maybe 10 dates in 2 weeks, or maybe more.
It was better part of 3 weeks, maybe a month, and then
maybe it was.
And but we do a bunch of other gigs. I remember we did gigs with them out on the West Coast that time, didn't we? At the
the first run after the full length LP. Yours,
right, that's right.
The Ace of Hearts.
You came out then, didn't you, Rick?
Yeah,
you and Mark.
You went on tour with the Neats and REM.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been on tour
with everyone.
I call it in the van.
Yeah, we did our time in the. We had to. Man, it was a 6 guys, and we had a sound man, a roadie, and a
Everyone's
band.
sick.
Everyone's smoking. We all smoking. Oh God Almighty!
The good old days, man.
The van's filled with Kleenex,
right?
Because everyone's sick.
Talk about COVID! Oh my God, Jesus!
You guys started COVID in 1982.
Fuck that Wuhan! It wasn't out of a lab in Wuhan. It was out of
started in Alston.
An orange Econoline.
Out of a van.
Right. And that Econoline, we drove that thing until the end of one tour. We were coming back from, I don't know, somewhere in the Midwest, and it broke down on a bridge in New Jersey. We had a gig at Maxwell's that night, and it was about 6 o'clock now, and they towed it to the club and parked it right in the back there. We did our gig, and then we abandoned that van there. It stayed there. It was like the dressing room there for a couple of years, wasn't it? It was. It really
actually,
was.
Yeah.
I think Rick told me a funny story when you guys, I don't know if you guys will think it was funny, but he told me that one time you guys were with REM and you pulled up to a show and all of a sudden they had a tour bus.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys were like, what?
What happened?
Yeah. And you had the van.
Yeah.
You guys had the van, they
It
had
was
the tour
reversed
bus.
because originally it was the other way around.
Right.
That
And
they were opening.
Right.
So they were opening for you guys.
I don't know. I don't think
I
we'd
don't
ever.
think that,
we
no.
played that gig.
I
at
thought
Maxwell's
that
and-
show at Maxwell's they were opening.
I don't think they were, but it could have been kind of co-billed. Or
We could
whatever,
say
but-
they were. It's okay.
Right, yeah, but at any rate,
Michael
they were
Stipe
open.
won't call us. And,
The Replacements opened
They
for
used to
us
open for
once.
Nice.
Yeah,
In
just
Detroit.
once.
In Detroit.
Only once.
Okay, so who else did you guys go out with? So you already mentioned
You
two
know-
iconic bands here.
I'm trying to remember.
I'm trying to think the memories.
was a
We played with a lot of bands. We played with the Ramones. We played with the band. That was pretty well.
The band?
Yeah.
Post Robbie Robertson, but it was 1986 at the Ritz.
Dave Lee was in the band at that
And
point.
you know what it was? It was the weekend in New York where the Statue of Liberty was having its centennial. So they were having this huge thing, I think, in the waterfront, and the city was we thought it was going to be so mobbed down there, but actually the city was deserted because everyone was either down there. But that was the date. So it was July 4th, I think, in '80s. Yeah, and we were playing the only thing I remember about that gig was that there was 2 dressing rooms above the stage on each side of the Ritz. And they were in one, and we were over, and we kept going down to the bar, and you go, could you send some drinks up to us to the band? And they're like, yeah, and they kept, and we never got our drinks because they were sending
going
them
to the
band.
That's funny, man. I like that. Did you get to meet those guys? Rick Danko,
Not
Levon?
really.
No.
Yeah, Garth Hudson, they were all at that point, they were probably just like, grinding it out and just, they didn't want to see, But it was fun to see.
That was a great room. I love
That was the Ritz.
This is
was always
13th
fun.
Street, the original Ritz you're talking
Yeah,
about?
Ritz.
Yeah, I
Yep.
love that place.
Incredible place.
That and Irving Plaza.
It was
both
kind
those.
of like Lost Leader night when they put us all on. Like like that 4th of July
Right.
or the night before Thanksgiving.
Oh,
They
or the
throw
night-
us a bone.
Or even worse would be the night after Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Well, that's when the last waltz was on Thanksgiving. That Winterland, right?
1978. Yeah.
Well, I think this gig was actually 76. The movie came out a little late.
Oh, yeah, you're right, yeah.
Did you ever go to Winterland, Rick?
No.
You went to Fillmore in New York,
Yeah.
though, right?
No, I
Yeah.
went to the Fillmore West, though.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So that wasn't Winterland. I confused. They weren't the same
No.
thing. No, different ones, yeah. Yeah.
So, well, who are some Boston bands that you guys used to hang out with and play a lot with back then?
God, everyone.
Well, we did play with Missy Burma a few
a
times.
lot. I mean, those guys were
And Del
unbelievable.
Fuegos.
Tons with the
Liars.
Del
That makes
Fuegos,
sense. You guys
the
are
Dogmatics, the
Yeah.
Liars,
Neighborhoods.
the Hoods, that whole early scene.
Wave.
Yeah, right. I mean, geez, all those bands at the Underground that we mentioned before. There were so many, and there were so many great bands and so many great people back then. It was such it really was, a community of, and the scene in Boston. I think we were kind of blessed to be in that scene at that time. It was, I think, one of the better in the country because we'd play all around. New York had its thing, but it didn't have a feel like that. New York was always, people kind of hating on each other and stuff. And Boston was, right? I mean, there was always kind of like
Boston was pretty competitive. In the
It
80s
was,
too.
but I mean, there was a lot of nice people though. As I look back on it now, it's like, geez, I think it was pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
like-
Now, did you guys remember that Wellesley College gig that I saw you at?
we were just talking
Was that
about
in the
it.
basement?
Yeah, it was a college gig.
It had to be that.
They were all. I remember I walked in with my friend
think I
from
might
PJM.
remember you.
Yeah,
I
we were the only
yeah.
guys there.
Yeah, right.
so
Yeah, I
it was
remember,
all
and I
of us.
remember like you talking about a radio station. I think
Yeah,
so,
because I loved you guys.
and that's
I was
40
playing 6.
fucking years ago.
Yeah, I know. I was 10. No, I was 5.
I was 5. Yeah. I wasn't born yet. Yeah, but I remember and I think we I forget the gig, but I think we walked around the pond that night or something. There's that pond out
I
there.
didn't do that with
No.
you guys.
You
but
were you found a
You met a Wellesley girl?
yeah.
I met Jennifer Meister, who's an amazing Boston sculptor.
Artist,
And
who's
we were
amazing
friends.
person.
We've been friends for quite a while since then.
But that's
so-
when we first met her.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. She,
So
dancing Jenny.
Who
She could
else
dance
is-
better than just about anybody.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I just remember that being a great show, and then
It
I
was
ended up
fun.
seeing you guys at clubs after that, But that was the first time I saw the Neats.
Right. That was
Because I was at Framingham State
Sure. Uh-huh.
College right down the road. So I'm like, we got to go over and see the Neats, man, I was like 19. Let's go see the Neats. And we get there, and it's like, we come walking in, and all the girls are looking at us like, who the hell are you guys, But you guys were there lucky, so luckily we weren't the only guys in the room.
For some reason, vaguely remember you guys
Right.
being there.
I
I
do
don't
too.
know why. I'm not sure
I do
why.
too.
We were standing in front of the stage with all these girls around us. Were you at that show, Rick?
I don't know. It might have been even before.
That was pre-Monkey's Head.
yeah, definitely. So it might have been
Yeah.
earlier on.
Because
I know I went to quite a few shows there.
Right. I
they
remember.
might have only had the Propeller EP out at that time.
Yeah, I don't
'cause-
think I was there that
You
night. I
normally
would,
did the Student Union, right? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
because Burma played there. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure.
that's when I went.
I remember
Yeah.
that. The Burma doesn't. Well, I'll tell you the quote later.
I remember that quote.
So this is a good time to bring up Pittsburgh, I think, Phil. Because I lived out there for 5 years,
Yeah,
and I
which
know
I
you're
didn't
from
know.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to Baby Loves Tacos?
No.
Bloomfield and Millville. You got to go there and you got to talk to Zach and John, and you got to say that Steve sent you and get some tacos
I'll do
and
that.
stuff.
I'll do that.
They're right in Little Italy
It's
over
not
there
too
in
far
Bloomfield.
from where I live.
Yeah, I love Pittsburgh because Jerry's Records in the
Jerry's
attic,
Records,
and
yep.
you can get more vinyl there than anywhere. And I'm a vinyl freak, so when I go there, like when I saw Rick holding the Monkey's Head EP,
Got
all of a
hot.
sudden, I couldn't think. Got
Got
hard.
hot.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought you said you
said-
got hard.
No,
Yeah, that
I
too.
Said, no, I said you got hot.
I did very much because I don't have that one. I got the
You're
self-titled
too
record.
old to get hard.
Yeah.
Is that?
Oh, ouch.
Hey, I thought I was one of the younger ones in the room today. Come on, man. But
You could edit that out.
no, we're leaving it in. I don't care. So after you guys spent a little while with Rick, now was Steve Daly? Was he Coyote Records?
Steve Fallon.
Steve Fallon.
There was a
Steve
Daly's
Daly's
Yeah.
name is on your record. He's on
he was,
Crash It Crush. I
right,
saw
of
his
course.
name on it. I didn't know if he had something to do with it. He was with Caroline Records.
Right.
He might have something to do with the graphics on it, or he had
Right.
some
in
part of the
terms
production
but I
end of
remember-
things.
Right,
but,
right. But Steve Fallon was the owner of Coyote, who owned Maxwell's as well. That's how we, ended up with him, because we would live at Max. I mean, we would play Maxwell's
and
probably
then
once a month.
then sleep upstairs in his apartment, and
That was a great scene too.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
was
that
wonderful.
was
I met Bob Mold once at he was at a Dag Nasty show at Maxwell's, and he was hanging out with the owner. I think they were together at the time.
Yeah.
Is that
Could be.
possible?
Yep.
Yeah,
That
they
makes
were,
sense.
definitely.
they
Yep.
were together at the time, and I met them, and I was like talking to Bob Mold. I'm like, holy shit. He was saying that night, I'm going to produce Dag Nasty. It never happened, but it was fun talking about it. So you guys changed a lot in that period, and I don't know if there was a break or not, but when Crash It Crush and Blues and Blue, those records are total bluesy.
Yeah.
Way more blues.
Or more rock, and blues.
I'm
and
going to
kind of-
play Loverman at the end of the interview because I love that song, man.
Thanks.
I love both those records.
Yeah,
so what
thank-
happened? Why did the band...
It's weird. We just
I
evolved.
can't. Yeah,
we
it's like,
just.
Because
bass
Jerry
playing
left.
changed.
Yeah,
Like,
and
that-
we were. I just think we were like listening to like other stuff then, and it, to me it's funny. It's kind of like you look back at other bands that like even like it's so funny when we started in 1979, 80. It was like, and we were definitely drawing on a '60s garage kind of vibe, psychedelic thing, which seemed like ancient history at the time, which it was 9 years ago. It's so funny that 69 to 79, but back then when you're young, it seems like so long. But look at a band look at the Small Faces, and then they evolved from this kind of that sound into Humble Pie.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Marriott.
It's kind of like a
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
that's a
but
good
we both-
comparison, actually.
But we both came from blues backgrounds.
Absolutely.
I mean,
it's fun. Yeah, when we first moved to Boston, I mean,
Yeah.
I moved to Boston in '78 as well as Phil and Terry.
Yep.
Where are you from originally?
Actually, it's funny. Jerry and I are both from Connecticut, down towards the city. Like
Hartford or
no,
Newhaven?
down like
Oh, way down, New York City.
Westport.
Okay.
Yeah, West Wilton, and actually like where Jeff's from and Clint, they
Darien.
were from Darien, right? And we were from there. I went to school for a year in Virginia, dropped out, and kind of said, I'm moving to Boston. I was interested in music, but I kind of came up thinking I was originally kind of like a real blues guy. I was that. I mean, my first thing was playing harmonica. I remember hearing Paul Butterfield when I was 8 years old, and it blew my mind, My brother would bring home those records. But anyway, I moved to Boston thinking, I want to get a blues band together or something like that. This is before punk rock had infected us. But we got to Boston, we met, and it was great. We got together, and we were, it's so funny how we got together. I don't know how it happened. It was very organic. But then one night, we went to the Rat.
Yeah.
And it kind of changed everything.
The Plasmatic.
Yeah.
You went to see the
But more
Plasmatics.
importantly, opening for the Plasmatic was the Classic
Ruins. Yeah.
which is probably one of the
yeah.
greatest.
Okay.
I mean, and we saw them.
One of the best singles on Ace of Hearts. 1 and 1 is
Unbelievable.
less
I
than
mean,
2.
I love
and
that
seeing
song. That
Frank
one
Rowe-
killed
Rick Harte.
That one killed
Good
me
one.
every time I saw him
That's
play.
that's
Oh, my
one
God.
of the
Yeah.
best singles. I mean,
Yeah.
you got Prettiest Girl and all these other songs
Yeah.
too, but 1 and 1 is less than 2. When you hear that, you're like,
It's
holy
insane.
shit.
I mean, the sound on that, the guitar, the song itself, and Frank Rowe is just. I mean, he was.
Yeah, I love
And
that
this
guy.
was in the old days at the Rat. You'd play a full set. 3 bands play a full set, and then they'd repeat. You do so we saw the Ruins twice that night, and then we kept going out to see them, and then discovered that whole scene of Boston, and then we're like,
Going
doing purges of our records. We became very kind of.
I remember the record smashing
Right,
session we had.
We were like all into we totally got into the whole kind of cool punk rock scene of Boston. And
Yeah, you guys really made your mark during that period. And so going back to like the Crash It Crush and that era and stuff, David had joined the band. Did he have a blues influence on you too? Is that how it happened?
I know he.
Dave did like the blues.
I think again, like before that, we all grew up on that stuff, right?
What did you think about when they changed their style, Rick?
I wasn't sure about it, but I'm telling you, I feel like I missed the boat, that I wish I'd produced those records.
Oh, yeah.
Because those fucking songs, whoops.
Yeah. No, we
could
can
say
say that.
fuck.
I can't help it.
Yeah.
Those fucking records, those songs rule.
Right.
They kill me. I mean, he just kept getting better on the songwriting thing, and the band was great.
You know, and I don't know what happened with, you know, we were just kind of this and that, and this came up, but I wish you produced some of this too. I mean, because I have regrets on some of the production on those records. You know? I mean, they were,
but it's good enough.
Yeah,
I mean, because the songs in the end, the songs and the music overpowered any deficiencies.
Right.
But I was like, I think when Jerry left, I thought Jerry was the counterpart to Eric. Everything Eric was, Jerry wasn't, and vice versa. And I just thought it was done.
Wow.
And of course, I was wrong as usual.
Rick Harte was wrong. Imagine that.
Never.
So, but it's beautiful because there's the things we did, and then that, and it makes a monstrous career. And now Eric has his band now, which is on its way.
Yeah, on our way.
We could talk about that.
Even a pandemic can't kill it.
Right.
It can kill everything else, but
Luckily, it hasn't killed us.
no, I mean,
man.
where's my T-shirt?
So is that why you decided to put out the Ace of Heart years? Because you felt like you missed out on something there, so you wanted to, you know, put out the compilation? Because there are like 24 songs on there.
That was just so needed because the vinyl, the era for vinyl, people were, you know, they were dissing vinyl, and it disappeared. And I was getting as many requests at the label, mail order wise, for the Neats.
Was a lot coming from Europe?
No.
It was U.S.?
Yep.
Yeah.
We didn't tour Europe, unfortunately. We were going to do it several times, but it never got through.
I would think you guys would be big in places like Greece and stuff like that, you know?
It'd be nice. Still do
So
it.
people kept requesting the music, and so
It needed to be reissued.
I loved it when I got that
It was
record.
timely. So Eric and I got together, and Jane
My wife helped with the design.
didn't help, made the design what it was. And
Absolutely.
Jane Martin.
Yeah, she's been a designer for, you know,
I saw her name on the record.
She worked for the Globe for 30 years designing pages, and
so
now works at the MFA. So
the three of us, I had all the original masters. I went back to Sterling.
that was the big thing.
And worked
the remastering was pretty
worked
amazing.
on it hard.
Yeah.
And it came out, and I need to say he's getting mechanical royalties constantly because never...
Right in front of my eyes a couple of minutes ago. That's the first time I've seen a label hand a band a check.
That? Right.
And I used to work for labels, but I never handed any bands any checks either.
But never a day goes by when there isn't a request for this CD. So these guys, Mission of Burma and the Liars, even Birdsongs of the Mesozoic, they pay the bills.
You did tell me when you were on the show that Monkey's Head was your favorite record on the label. You did say that.
I think it was the best experience I ever had in the studio.
That was fun.
With a band, number one. And number two, it may just be my own personal taste or sensibility, but this, I feel, is the best.
Rick's holding the record up.
The best work.
For our listeners.
Yeah, right.
The best work I ever did.
Where was that photo taken?
That was in the
basement
of a house. What
156 Kelton Street.
What neighborhood is that?
In Alston.
Everything happened in Alston.
Upcom Ave. You remember the old El Phoenix room? It was a Mexican restaurant. Yeah, that's the only thing I can
El
remember.
Phoenix.
Yeah.
But it was, and that was the house that burnt down.
Yeah.
That was another adventure.
You know, Alston's been demoed now, and you don't know what anything
How about Rug Road?
is.
There's nothing there.
And the whole town's different than it was 30 years ago. You can't
different.
recognize anything.
I mean, you go
there.
to Boston, do you know where you are anymore? It's like...
Even this neighborhood,
right.
You know, we're right near, where are we? Not Inman.
Union. Right.
We're near a square.
We're
between Union and Porter.
Right.
Somerville for all you people out in California listening.
Which I can never, I know Boston like the back of my hand. I come to Somerville and I'm still totally lost.
I felt lucky to get here.
Me too.
Yeah, there's a farmer's market going on. I got the whole road blocked
It's only
off.
a quarter mile wide, the whole town, and there's several one-way streets, and you can't get off them. Once you're on one,
Were there any bars here that you guys were playing in back in the old days?
Jasper. Was it
Jaspers?
Jaspers. And Jax was
Jaspers.
Jax was on Mass Ave. There was another
Jaspers
one.
was over here.
Jumbos? You ever played Jumbos?
Probably.
They were up in Teal Square.
Right.
No.
It's a dentist office now.
great?
I believe it or not, I went there when I was in college to a show. Don't ask me why. I mostly went to the Rat, you know. I never made it to the In Square Men's Bar because I was like...
That was a great club, too. There was so many fun clubs back.
The club.
Remember?
Yeah, the club was good.
The Summit Lounge.
Remember we played Thursday night at In Square, and we didn't realize it was a 2:00 bar. Oh. And we played 3 sets, right. And Pylon was there.
Were they
playing? Wow.
No, they came and they got on stage after us. I think they played for one of our sets.
Oh, that's so funny. I think I do remember.
And I thought that was so cool because we're done, and the bartender's like,
"No, you're
it's
not."
at 2:00.
That's the S&S Deli now, right? In Cambridge?
Yeah. Been for a while.
Man, that was
before I left.
Wild place.
You know?
The Violent Femmes played there because I remember when I did an interview once with Gordon Gano, and he was talking about the bar that became a restaurant in Inman. I had no idea what he was talking about. And then I asked somebody afterwards, the Inman Square Men's Bar. Right. I'm like, that was the name of the place?
Yeah, it was a great bar.
Ladies invited, though.
Ladies invited.
So you guys I know it's kind of sad because, you know, Terry's gone. And,
for 20 years now.
He was over at the Hoodoo Barbecue, wasn't he, at the Rat as a cook, chef?
For years.
With James Ryan, who ran the place, and everyone worked there. I mean, gosh, Wayne, Randall, Johnny Angel.
Everybody
Maurice,
went there.
Stoner worked there.
Everyone worked in this kitchen or in the bar.
Scruffy
and it
guys.
was, you know, again, that was another place. We just lived there.
Kinda, yeah.
During the time.
Every day, Rick, we'd go down and have the cheeseburger, the pill.
Give me my pill, right?
During the mid-'80s, when you guys had just put out your album, I was working at Enigma Records in California.
Oh, yeah, right.
But I used to come a lot. You know what I used to do? I used to come to Boston, get the hotel, whatever, and then go to the Rat and stay there all day long because every fucking band would come walking through. I'm sitting there for 5 minutes. John Butcher walks by. I'm like, John Butcher?
Right.
And then, you know, I ended up signing the outlets in the neighborhoods, and, you know, I had meetings with those guys there,
right?
You know, at the Rat. The Rat was like
headquarters.
It was CBGB's basically.
I mean,
you know,
it was there before CBGB's too. When in real life,
in real life. But the Hoodoo was
amazing.
Good food
that
too.
Was a meeting place.
It was.
Colleen, your sister, worked at the Hoodoo Barbecue, right?
Yep. Right. Yep. There's nobody. It seemed like every day after work, go up there and get a pill.
Every day.
I need to clarify.
A pill was a cheeseburger.
A cheeseburger.
And they had the great just.
We were drug addicts, but
tubes and cubes.
Yeah, it was steak tips and sausages.
I forgot about
tubes and
those
cubes.
Are great.
I think I ate a lot of their barbecue chicken. They had good barbecue there.
No, it was all about the barbecue.
Yeah.
James Ryan, who was the sweetest, greatest
Frying
guy.
James Ryan.
Awesome. He had done the Rainbow Rib Room. I think that was around the corner earlier. I never really went there.
I never went there.
But then he I don't know how he got the gig at the Rat, but he that was there. I guess 5 years, Rick, maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 years.
It was cool because if you didn't have enough money to drink and to see the bands, you could just hang out upstairs and drink.
Yeah.
And then if you had enough money, you'd go downstairs.
You could sneak down the back
take
staircase.
and take in the cigarette smoke.
Oh my God.
Or if you knew one of the BU few bouncers that wouldn't beat you up. You could
Mitch
get
the
down.
door.
I always had a deal at the bar.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I had it worked at all. I mean, at the Underground, I had my $5 a day life. So I'd get breakfast at the Grecian Yearning, okay? Then I'd get a sub over. That was more like my lunch. Then I'd get a sub around the corner from Kelton Street.
For $2.
Then I'd grab, for $2, and then I'd grab like a $1 bottle of gin, put it in my pocket, and then the bartender would feed me tonics
For
all
free.
night long. So I was set,
Yeah,
$5.
good for you.
Austin on $5 a day.
Elston,
Phil Caruso.
$5 a day.
So I don't know if you guys will have an answer to this question, but I'm trying to ask people this question. Is there any music that you've been listening to in the last 5 years that you think is good? I mean, are there any bands that you're into? Is there anything coming out that you've heard lately?
The Byrds are really good, aren't they? I like them. I love Gene Clark. I love.
Yeah.
I definitely listen to the radio. At least I listen to like UMB and stuff, which Albert's still in there. I love that.
Oh yeah, WUMB.
He's on right now with this great Saturday show. But
Randy Millman's on there
and
too.
listen
Right?
I've been listening to her.
the
Yeah,
newest
Randy's
stuff
cool.
that comes out. But I mean, I just have so much. Whenever I'm listening to music, though, I'm always going back to studying old things over and over again.
Who's your all-time favorite?
I don't know, man.
You said the
Right.
Byrds first.
No, I may have loved the Byrds. I mean, as Rick would agree, I love the Elevators. I love all the. What I've been listening to now is a lot of the old Spirit records. Did you like this?
Spirit,
Those
yeah.
were great, man. And then
Norman Greenbaum, is that?
No.
no.
Oh
it
no, I'm
was
thinking of Spirit
Randy
in the
California.
Sky.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, man.
That's all
You
right.
better,
Wrong
you
Spirit.
better edit that out.
But all that.
Nah, we don't edit anything out. I say stupid
just
things
love-
every show.
The sound of I think Rick would agree too. This just the sound and the production of those old records are just you can study them forever and never figure them out or never get tired of them. And I just think there was when they really made records. It was and records sound great now, but I don't know if they.
But there's nothing that catches your ear.
Well, no, there is. I guess. I guess. It's like a cup of water kind of gets filled up and overflows after a while.
They're all
It's
sourced from
in there.
digital masters.
Right.
Every one of them.
And
They're not organic.
it is amazing. On my phone now I can record a friggin' record, but I don't know if you want. It's like it's just. It was so meaningful to work in a studio together and play things as a band live.
I don't think Rick would record without a 2-inch tape machine.
No, right.
No.
No.
I record with a 2-inch tape, but I have a Pro Tools session that runs simultaneously
Right, to have it.
because the bands aren't rehearsed like they used to be.
So I take it you're not listening to any new music.
I don't know how new it is, but I'm ready to listen to the new PJ Harvey record.
Oh, I love
and,
PJ
And
Harvey,
there's
yeah.
not a song that she's ever put out that doesn't just turn me into mush.
Right.
Yeah.
I love Pauly Jean Harvey.
I
That's a
mean-
good
she
one.
rules.
She's got a new record, huh?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I'm saying there's.
I mean, there's.
I'm not
tons.
saying that everything was great then and it's shit now. I'm saying that the world is full of music and it's great, but it's buried by corporate crap.
Yeah.
Buried, so they play the same 8 songs every time, and
Well,
you have to
radio
dig.
is non-existent.
Yeah,
I mean, let's face it.
but you have to dig. But even on
Right.
all the
Right.
internet stations and stuff, their formula.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
I have been digging WUMB.
It's a
since I've
cool.
been
I
back
mean,
here.
it's
And
still a real radio station, and they have disc jockeys, and they, it's.
You must have listened to WYEP in Pittsburgh
Yes.
a little bit.
Yeah, Pittsburgh. Not a lot of huge bands come from Pittsburgh,
No.
but the people there are very passionate.
yeah.
It's
Pittsburgh's a
beer,
great city.
it's food, Perman
and rock and
Brothers.
roll.
rockers, good
Rock-
punk rock,
And
bands.
rock and
punk.
rollers
Yeah.
in general. I mean, there's a good rock town.
The Cheats, man. The Cheats? They're
Never
keeping
saw the
Pittsburgh
Cheats.
alive, I signed a band from Pittsburgh to Metal Blade called Eviction. This was in right around the time that you guys were on Twin Tone.
sure?
Oh, actually a little later. It was
Check
like
out
80.
Mower.
Mower?
Yeah,
So you do know a new band from Pittsburgh.
I do.
New word. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Do you know Dwayne Bruce?
Yeah.
He has a show in Maine. American Debauchery puts out an edition every Friday. He plays some
Cool. I found
fucking great stuff.
Yeah.
there's
And
this app that I found that I put on my phone. It's called Radio Garden, and you can listen to any radio
In the
station
world.
in the world.
Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
There's a one online too. You can actually the globe's spinning, and you can just hit a country. All the stations will
Really?
light up, and you hit it, and it's live at
yeah,
that station.
yeah, I love that.
It's-
You know, I still think MBR is like probably one
Oh
of
my
the best
God!
stations
I
around.
listen to them a lot still too, always for and God bless all those people there who've done it, and they just do a great job. You know, it's. I mean, isn't that amazing?
but there's
40 years.
plenty of great music around.
Of course.
I mean, it's not
It's-
like
we're just old
it was
in our
great
ways.
then and horrible now. That's not. I would never repeat.
I wouldn't say that
I
either.
would never
but,
say that. It was great.
But I have to. I do feel that we were lucky that we were born and kind of grew up. Again, this could just be us talking, but it seemed like there was a golden age.
There
from
was.
1965 to 1975. If you or even you could break it down. I could break it down to years 67 to 69. I mean, how many unbelievable records came out?
Yeah.
Over these.
The 70s are my favorite. Not that the 60s weren't great. That whole period when all those West Coast bands, you mentioned the Byrds, the
Right.
Mamas and the Papas Association.
Right.
That little, did you see Echo Canyon, the
Yeah,
documentary?
that was pretty good. Yeah,
Excellent.
No,
'cause
that's great. I mean, I love that. My favorite of those, the L.A. era, though, was Love. With Arthur Lee.
Yeah,
They were just
Love.
fantastic.
Wow.
Just insane.
I always say being able to see the Beatles and the Remains at a show and the Yardbirds.
Ask Rick
All
about-
together?
ask-
Jeff Beck Group
Ask Rick
and,
about
and
going to
Jimi
the-
Hendrix twice.
at
That
the
just
Tea
about
Party.
that just about did it for me.
My favorite story, Rick, that you told me is at the Tea Party, the original one. Wasn't it? You go in, and they didn't have booze there, right?
No,
But you could bring
Bring
in your
your own.
Matus. You could bring in a bottle of
and
Matus.
Almaden.
Right. But they had on the wall, he said they had those, remember when we were kids in elementary school, maybe we had those gray wrestling mats?
They were on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
They were on the floor that you sat
And
on.
you could sit on the wrestling
and
mats.
the gray mats, and then they had a light show
Right.
every night. Someone would come in with one of those groups that did light shows, but
Unbelievable.
by the time the opening band or the first band, there wasn't really an opening band, went on, you would be in the bathroom vomiting because the wine was so disgusting.
The Matus or the
Right.
Almateen.
But basically, you could smoke weed, but they had people going around saying, "Put it out," because the place was so prone to burning down.
And you saw a lot of big bands.
I
in
saw
this
the
place.
Who there for $5.
Who?
And Zeppelin, right?
And Led Zeppelin, of course.
On
And then
their
the
first
Jeff Beck
tour.
group. Yes,
Yeah.
the first show.
Peter Green,
And yep.
several,
Yeah, I saw
pretty
that
good
many
acts.
times, mostly at the
Imagine.
second tea party.
Right.
But anyway,
Yeah,
that's
that's
enough
so
of that.
funny.
Well, guys, thanks a lot for coming in, man.
Oh, well,
I mean, do you
geez.
want to plug some of the things you're working on now, Eric?
I mean, I've just been playing with my guys have been playing with for several years now. Steve Morrell, who was original Del Fuego, greatest drummer ever, and Dave Fredette, who's been
Dave.
in a million
Upper
bands.
Crust, right?
Yeah, and the Titanics.
Titanics.
And actually, Dave used to tour with us as a roadie,
That's right.
and would always jump on stage with us way back in the day, in those Dave Lee days when we were touring. And Dave's just been our great friend, so we've been doing that, and yeah, we'll be playing around a lot once after this post-COVID.
And
stuff.
Steve Morrell, the greatest drummer ever.
really is.
You both
I-
said that, so he must be.
I had a chance to
Better than
record
Ginger
him.
Baker.
Yeah,
I had
and a nicer
chan-
guy too.
A chance to record him with the Del Fuegos, and everyone knows how that ended.
Yeah.
For the people that don't know, do you want to tell us?
No,
Philly, you doing anything, man? Musically, or
no,
you're working
I
on
mean-
movies, right?
Yeah, I'm a
Well,
prop
Films.
maker in the movie industry, carpenter pretty much. I'm working on that's why I'm here. I'm working on a show about Julia Child right now.
HBO
HBO
thing.
series.
And they're shooting it in Boston.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they shoot a lot of stuff in Pittsburgh too.
Pittsburgh's got a movie scene, and I worked 2 years on Mindhunter. Was one of
I
my,
love that show,
a
man.
great
They
show,
shot that
wasn't
down
it?
near the 16th Street Bridge, right? 'Cause
They
it was-
did. Oh, that was a studio for the first year.
Because for a while they had all those old cars down there
Yeah,
from the,
yeah.
and
right.
I used to go. I lived in Troy Hill,
Yeah.
so I'd come
you could
down the
almost
either
see it. But go ahead.
31st Street Bridge or the 6th. You know how many bridges there are in Pittsburgh.
Or
man.
Rialto Street.
I lived on Rialto Place, right off of Rialto
Steepest
Street.
street in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Ricardo on Rialto, right? Right.
Though this hill, man, if you've never seen it,
Have I been up there?
ask Phil about it.
I
It
know
is-
the hills in Pittsburgh.
It is a
They're
steep
insane.
hill. I used to drive up and down that hill. In the winter, they had to close the hill.
Well, they had those transits on those hills, right? Those things.
Oh, the
What do you call it?
inclines.
Inclines.
I don't think Rialto ever had an incline,
No.
but that.
Are
But,
they still-
But it should have.
Yeah.
That hill, though, was like treacherous. People
Yeah.
would go flying up that thing, man. It was like insane, man. People in Pittsburgh, they just they don't have no problem with that hill. Me, I was like scared the first few times. I looked down and I'm like, I got to drive down this hill. I'm going to be in the
Especially
Allegheny River.
in the winter, right? It's like, yeah.
One of the other greats that I got to work on in Pittsburgh was Ma Rainey's Black Bottom,
Right.
which
just won the Academy.
No, it was nominated for production design, but great story with Chadwick Boseman. It was his last show, and we built it in an old steel mill, 31st Street.
Beautiful set.
but
Unbelievable.
The
You
thing-
didn't check that out.
In Pittsburgh, there's so many cool places like, the Warhol and the Carnegie Museum and Carnegie Mellon, the campus is fantastic, That's what I loved about living there is like you could go for a walk at the University of Pittsburgh and the Cathedral of Learning. I mean,
That's so cool.
really, I have a lot of friends that listen in Pittsburgh, so they'll appreciate bringing this up.
It's a good town. I grew up there and moved away and spent, 14 years here and then back. And
Did you know Reed Paley? He's originally
sure, I
from
know
Pittsburgh
Reed.
too, right?
I know him from back
Reed's
then.
great.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the Five ended up in Boston.
I used to see the Five in Pittsburgh.
Reed, Tom, and Dave. And,
Yeah. We played with the Five in Pittsburgh
Right,
at
but
the
we-
Electric Banana.
And then they moved up here. And we
I
always
met Johnny Banana. That was one of the highlights
you
of when I
really?
moved there. It's a restaurant now,
Yeah.
Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
My friend Ted Williams, he works on films too. I don't know if you know him or not. No, different Ted Williams. He's like a stunt guy. He's a stuntman, and he's like, "Hey, you want to meet Johnny Banana?" Going over to the restaurant. And we went in there, and I'm like, "This used to be the Electric Banana."
Yeah.
It was like the great psychedelic garage rock club in Pittsburgh, in the middle of a neighborhood.
We played there, didn't
yes, we
Yeah.
did twice, as
Yeah,
a matter
right.
of fact.
And a
yeah.
couple,
Bands like Rain Parade would
Yeah.
play there.
Yeah.
It was that kind of they had a real psychedelic
Oh, yeah.
garage vibe
A
going
lot
on
of
over
people
there.
came through there.
Yeah, that
you
was the
know?
club, right?
Yeah, it
that was
was.
the big. That was the club to play.
was.
Rick, do you have anything you like to add before we go?
No, just keep playing and singing.
Rock on.
You told me last time that you're dying to start recording some live bands. You
I'm
still-
ready to work,
Yeah, let's
man.
go.
I'm sitting on my ass too much,
Well, this year's been a little heavy.
but I'm not getting fat.
No,
Look,
look
I
at you.
still have my
Oh, yeah.
I have my girly body still.
I gotta find. You gotta give me a
No
diet.
filter needed on Blowing Smoke with Twisted
No.
Rico. You can say whatever you
People
want.
can be honest.
You can even say that Norman Greenbaum was in spirit and get away with it.
And
But
not from Medford. No, he's from Malden. I think wasn't Norman Greenbaum? I think he was from Malden.
oh, he's a mass guy.
Yep, he's a
Wow.
mass guy.
I got confused. Spirit and this guy, you know what I was thinking about. Spirit's a whole different.
Good guitar tone at,
Good
the, at the
guitar
very end.
Of what in
Spirit in the sky.
that? Yeah, but Spirit themselves had great guitar tones
Yeah.
too. They had.
I am
Randy-
responsible
He was
for
sick.
mixing
Yeah.
these two things up, and I
All right.
apologize for that.
Anyway.
But thanks, guys, for coming on,
Thanks
man.
for
I
having
really
us.
Yeah,
appreciate
it's
it.
fun.
Thank you.
Eric Martin, Phil Caruso, Rick Harte, three Boston legends. Thanks, guys.
Steve.
Thank you, man.
sweat, time again. And my heart tells my eyes just what to see. I love a man I am, love a man that's me. Yeah, life works and goes, stuck on a shelf. I live in this cage that I built all by myself, and from its walls, oh, none of it feels. I love a man I am, love a man that's me. Turn me away, I'll just return. I've been burned by fire, but I never did learn about pain. Not as hurt and agony. Love a man I am, love a man that's me. Love a man I am, love a man that's me.
I want to tell you one more time about Notch Beer because we're really excited about their new location that's opening at 525 Western Ave in Brighton because they're going to have an outdoor venue. They're planning on having shows in July and August. It's going to be really cool. But while we're waiting, you can go up to Salem, check out their main base at 283R Derby, right in the harbor, as we say here in Massachusetts, where they're serving their European-influenced beer in their beer garden and their beer hall. And you know, if you can't make it up there, you can buy Notch at retail locations in Mass and Rhode Island and mail order from Mass and PA. And you know, having lived in Pittsburgh for 5 years, I can tell you they love their beer out that way. So you could probably find it there. Get yourself a Notch. You won't regret it. All right. Wow, what a show. I'm just like, whew. Loverman was the track, by the way, played before that Notch spot. The Neats, what a great band. What a great band. I was so happy to have them and Rick Harte in here. You have no idea. One of my favorite shows yet. All right, before we go, I just want to remind you we have a Patreon page, patreon.com/Twisted Rico, and you can reach out to me, as many people have, at twistedrico@gmail.com. We're on Instagram at Blowing Smoke with TR. We're also on Facebook, Twitter. We're everywhere. We got a Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico YouTube page. You can subscribe to it. You can like it. Please do all of that. I'll love you for it. I'll love you anyway. I want to thank Mike Nash here at Voice Motel in Somerville, Massachusetts, for engineering the show, doing a great job. And if you want to have a podcast here, just get in touch with Mike. He's easy to find at Voice Motel on Instagram. I'm actually doing another show called Seems to Me with Sibylline Seriano, and we record here with Mike, and that's also available on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, Google, Breaker, Podchaser, Podtail. I know I'm missing something. There's a lot of places you can listen to podcasts these days. So check out that podcast as well. Until the next time we all say goodbye, this is Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico. I'm your host, Steve Ricardo. Keep the rock and roll alive, and you know we love Busy Phillips.